guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back and it is Tuesday, July 9th. Now, there are a ton of Q posts, believe it or not, and I'm pretty sure you do believe it. So, and what had happened is I had gotten my Q related news all ready to run because I've gotten so used to Q not posting, and I was ready to record that last night, and I realized that there was a ton of new Q posts. So I quit that and right away went to researching the Q posts, which has taken me an inordinate amount of time. So it is now past midnight. It's 12:15 a.m. Really early in the morning on July 9th. And I will also be posting again tonight, July 9th night. So it seems a little bit odd to me because really it's still July 8th, the night of July 8th. But anyway, let's get right into it because I've got a ton of stuff to go over, and it's getting late. It is late. It's so late that it's early. All right, now we're going to just start at the very beginning because that's a very good place to start. And we're going to go through all of these posts, and there's a ton of them. I'm just warning you, I might have to break this up into two, but I'm going to try and power through this. All right, so here is the first one from July 8th. What happens when those who held positions of power and influence no longer pull the strings? What happens when blackmail no longer works? Do you become a liability? H leads to C, D, I. Now, and of course he signs Q. Now, H is the Horowitz report. C is the Comey report. D equals Durham's testimony, and I equals indictments. Now, you may be questioning my interpretation of this, but as we go along, I think you'll see that I'm right about this. Not saying that I can't be wrong. Of course I can, but I think in this, I'm pretty certain that I'm right. So the Horowitz report leads to the Comey report, which which leads to Durham's testimony. And then with his testimony will lead to the indictments or the unsealing of the indictments. Okay, so we're going to move ahead, and that's going to kind of explain itself as we go. Now, let's go up to the next one, and this is the next one, and Q is making reference to this meme by an anon that says, "The storm has arrived." The storm has arrived, and there's some interesting aspects just to that alone. But let's go on, and then we'll explain. Just because the public is unaware of something does not mean nothing is happening. And what he's saying there, of course, is just because we're not seeing things that are happening, it doesn't mean that nothing is happening, because there's a lot going on behind the scenes that is not public. So we can't really say, as we've all been guilty of, oh, nothing's happening, I wish something would happen. I was just saying that yesterday. I was saying, oh, I wish that I want to see Hillary indicted, and we're all getting kind of tired of this. It's been going on for a long time, and it's probably going to be going on for quite a while longer. Q says that, and then he said, Mueller hearing a tactic meant to delay the Horowitz report. Now, when those of you that have been listening to Q for a long time know that when he's asking a question, he's really not asking a question. He's making a statement. So he's putting a question mark on it, but it's really making a statement. So he's saying that the Mueller report is being used as a tactic, or the Mueller hearing rather, wanting him to come in and testify and so forth. They're using that as a tactic to delay the Horowitz report being made public. The Horowitz report release necessary prior to C. Comey release. H plus C equals D. Now, I had said Durham's testimony. I think that's part of it, because that is going to be a bombshell of a testimony. It really is. So H, the Horowitz report, is the release of that is necessary prior to the Comey release. So H plus C equals D. And what is D? D equals the start of the mass awakening. Okay, we're part of the Great Awakening. Yes, we are. But are the masses awake yet? No, they're sure not. And I think any of us will be able to attest to that, because we probably have family or friends that are not awake. And it's frustrating because we see things so clearly and you can't get that across to them. So D equals the start of the mass awakening. White House, ABCs, now the ABCs are the FBI, CIA, DOJ, state, foreign, post D comes many I's. And what are the I's? Those are the indictments. So D, which I do believe is Durham's testimony, is going to start it's going to be the start of the mass awakening. The Great Awakening, it's all called the Great Awakening, but this is going to be the awakening of the masses, not just those of us that have been following Q. So that's going to come after the testimony of Durham. Now, when blackmail no longer holds due to loss of senior level key government positions and 11th hour testimony, those previously protected become prey. So, sure, blackmail was working when these guys were in the top echelons of, they were at senior level key government positions, but, a lot of them aren't there anymore. And he says, and 11th hour testimony. So it's going to be those two things. It's going to be the fact that they've lost a lot of these people that they had blackmailed, and they were in top positions, and now they're gone. But also 11th hour testimony. And as we'll see, that is referring to Durham's testimony. Those previously protected become prey. So there's nobody protecting Hillary Clinton anymore, and Obama, and all these people. There's nobody protecting them because the people they blackmailed are gone and will be gone with the 11th hour testimony. Okay, so let's go on. So those previously protected will become prey. Hunters become the hunted. God wins. Q. Now, I'm going to prove to you that Q is talking about Durham. And Q did not leave this link, but this is my link to show you that this is what he's talking about. Reluctant witness in FISA abuse probe agrees to talk to DOJ Inspector General. All right. Now, key witness sought for questioning by Justice Department Inspector General Michael E. Horowitz early in this investigation into alleged government surveillance abuse have come forward at the 11th hour. At the 11th hour, Fox News has learned. Sources familiar with the matter said at least one witness outside the Justice Department and FBI started cooperating. A breakthrough that came after Attorney General William Barr ordered U.S. Attorney John Durham to lead a separate investigation into the origins of the Bureau's 2016 Russia case that laid the foundation for Special Counsel Mueller's probe. While the investigative phase of the Inspector General's long-running probe is said to be complete, the sources said recent developments required some witnesses to be re-interviewed. And while Barr testified that he expected the report into alleged Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act FISA abuse to be ready in May or last month, multiple sources said the timeline has slipped. That answers our question, doesn't it? Because we've all been going, wait a minute, like, I thought this was going to be, the wheels of Inspector General investigations move very, very slowly. Former senior DOJ official Tom Dupree told Fox News. Dupree, who served as Deputy Assistant General, Dupree, who served as Deputy Assistant Attorney General from 2007 to 2009, does not have firsthand knowledge of the current IG case, but is familiar with the process. He added, like any investigation, you talk to one person, something that person tells you sends you back to the first person. So it can be very extensive, exhaustive process because you are constantly picking up leads, interviewing former sources, and navigating complex questions of classified information. And that makes total sense to all of us, I'm sure. Late-breaking information is known to delay such investigations. Horowitz's office similarly encountered new evidence late in the process of the IG review into law enforcement decisions during the 2016 Hillary Clinton email investigation. In this case, additional FISA information came to light late in the process, including October 2016 contact, first reported by The Hill and confirmed by Fox News, between a senior State Department official and a former British spy, Christopher Steele, who authored the infamous and salacious anti-Trump dossier. The State Department's contact with Steele was relayed to senior FBI official. The timeline matters because about 2 weeks later, the FBI and DOJ used Steele's unverified research paid for by the DNC and Clinton campaign to secure a surveillance warrant against former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. At the very least, it's been argued that Steele's contact with another government agency should have been a red flag for the FBI because it may have violated his confidential human source agreement. Steele was later fired by the FBI over his media contacts before the 2016 presidential election. The Page surveillance warrant is the central issue of the DOJ's Inspector General's review. With the timeline for Horowitz's report not public, one of the wild cards is the final review by the FBI and DOJ, which includes classified issues and could take weeks. Spokesman for Horowitz would not comment on the report's status, but during largely unrelated testimony in November, Horowitz offered some guidance for the timeline of the FISA abuse probe in response to questions from GOP Representative Jim Jordan. What I can say is, given the volume of documents we've had and the number of witnesses it looks like we'll need to interview, we are likely to be in the same sort of general range of documents and witnesses as the last report, Horowitz said, referring to his team's review of the Clinton email case. It wouldn't surprise me if we are in that million or so plus range of documents and 100-ish or so interviews. The last interview, as you know, took us about 16 months or so. So the same guidance holds. The window for completion would begin this month, though it remains unclear how much the DOJ FBI review and the additional interviews could delay the process. So this is a very good encapsulation of what's happening. But that testimony by Durham is very important. So by John Durham. Now, let's go back to Q. And we will pick up from where we left off. And I am just extrapolating or on this post right here, and I have something else to show you. When he says the storm has arrived. And isn't it interesting that today, well, this was yesterday, but this was actually posted yesterday as well. We're just slightly past midnight here. Well, 12:29 a.m. Look what happened in D.C. today. It says how and why the D.C. area was deluged by a month's worth of rain in an hour Monday. Rainstorm in Washington floods roads, White House basement. It flooded the basement of the White House. Wow. Nearly a month's worth of rain in an hour triggers travel nightmare in D.C. area. Now, this could be one of two things. We know that they do have the ability to influence the weather, or this just could be one of those providential signs, a sort of manifestation in the natural, in the physical world of what is happening in behind closed doors and in the spiritual and so forth. So I don't know, and I'm not saying, one way or another. You can take this how you want, but I do think that is extremely unusual that Q posted, the storm has arrived, and truly the storm had arrived in DC today. Even the White House basement was flooded. Interesting. Very interesting. So I'm going to move on from this now. I think that is it for that one. Yes, it is. So let's move on. And this is very good news. An Anon says, "Welcome back, Q. So good to see you. Are you returning publicly again now?" And Q responds, "The time has come to re-enter the public domain." Q. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of Q from now on. A lot of people had been kind of, wondering or surmising if Q was done and maybe weaning us off of him, but I don't see that now. I think that Q is back. We'll see, but that's the way he makes it sound there. Now, let's go up to the next, and this is a very long post. And Q posts this, and I think what Q is doing here is he is reminding us of the issues, seeing that Epstein was arrested on Saturday, and boy, is that ever linked to a lot of stuff. And we're going to get to a little bit of that here. But Q is posting a reminder to us about things that he has posted previously. So he's posted this, his own former post from 8/13/18, and here is a picture of the temple on Little St. James Island, the island that Epstein owns and where nefarious things take place. And it says, an anonymous 4chan user recently posted new photos of Jeffrey Epstein's infamous Pedo Island. The island features a temple atop a small mountain and has been the location of several underage sex parties arranged by Epstein and attended by several of the world's elite, including ex-president BC, his wife, HC, Hollywood actors, and even members of the world's royal families. And if you are new here, I have to do that because of the algorithms, and I don't want the video to be taken down. And they are censoring our voices very heavily, so one does have to be careful. And beneath this, Q says normal? Well, it's anything but normal. Most people don't own their own island, and those that do generally don't have a temple dedicated to Moloch, which we can tell by these two statues up here. And Moloch, of course, is a Canaanite god that they sacrificed their children to. It was a very large statue, and it had arms like this. It was made of, it was either made of brass or gold, I'm not sure which, but they would place the infants in the arms, and the belly was heated with, fire and whatever, and it would dump the baby into the fire, and that's how they would sacrifice their young. So makes me wonder what's going on there. Yeah. All right. And what he's done is he's put a bunch of old posts together just to bring this back up and refresh our memory. So let's start the refreshing. And this, it says, this is by arrest, and Q has put this in there. It says, arrest Podesta, phones were allowed in, these people are stupid. Q from April 3rd, and Q followed up by making note of the missing letter in the post, H. If all Q was trying to do was correct the grammar, it would have been lowercase. Does a capital H imply Hillary? Now, we're going to get to what that's talking about. Here is the April 3rd post by Q. Why is Epstein spending $29 million to bury the tunnels underneath his temple on Epstein Island. Now, this is the word that is missing an H right here. It should be underneath his temple, not is temple, on Epstein Island. Problem: phones were allowed in. These people are stupid. Q. So Q is letting us know right there that someone had taken a phone in when they weren't supposed to and recorded something, and hence Epstein was filling in all these tunnels that were beneath the temple and probably led all over the island. All right. And this is, then Q corrects himself in this April 3rd post, and he says H, meaning, oh, I meant H, like his temple. But this person's correct. Why would he use a capital H? It's a good question, isn't it? And I never noticed that before. But yeah, there may be a double meaning there. He's replacing the H, and he's also putting a capital to let us know that perhaps the person that had a phone was Clinton, and perhaps in all this digging they have found footage, and they're burying it so that he can deny there were no tunnels here. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. So, and then same post, we're still on the same post. Q reminds us with a couple of pictures, and of course this is Ray Chandler. Anyone that's new may need to go back and visit the posts on Ray Chandler because it's too much. I've got way too much to get through tonight to stop and explain all that. But this is Ray Chandler, and she is with Bill Clinton, and they are aboard the Lolita Express, Epstein's private airplane that he taxied the elites to and from his island with. And of course, there is a flight log, and Clinton is in there 26 times. 26 times. Now, underneath here, Q, and this was from April 6th, and this picture was posted April 6th along with it. And Q is reminding us of his previous post. He said, Epstein's plane. Who is she? It's Rachel Chandler. Follow her friends. Friends lead to others. Open source. Q. And he's saying that if you follow her, and a lot of Anons did a lot of digging on this and came up with all sorts of connections. And yeah, and it says open source, meaning it's out there. It's out there for anyone to see. It's not hidden. And indeed it was, because a lot of information was dug up. And that is it, I believe. Yeah, that's it for that post. That was a kind of a reminder and a refresher of everything that we are talking about with Epstein. And we're going to go up to the next one. And again, this is similar in nature. We are looking at, Q is posting July 8th, and he is put in a previous post from March 2019 of his, showing a bunch of guys at Epstein Island, and there is Tony Podesta and Bill Clinton, and these guys were identified at one point, but I can't remember who they are. But somebody is taking the picture, and Q was asking, at one point, who was taking the picture, and we don't know really, but. All right, so this is from March 20th, like 4 months ago. So this is pretty recent. And how did Q? I mean, if this is all a LARP, how did Q know? Ask people that are, there's still people making fun of us out there, and I see it on Twitter, and I'm just laughing because really, I think they're getting desperate, but. It says, will the rich and powerful influence the court to prevent the unsealing? Well, we've had the unsealing, so obviously not. Follow the attorney. Who took the picture? Who was located behind the camera? Sex trafficking is real. Q. One of these guys is an attorney, but I can't remember. I'd have to go back, and I'm going to have to go back and dig up these posts again to revisit them, because a lot of water has gone under the bridge, and there's just so many details. Like, it is hard to keep everything straight. There's a lot of names, a lot of connections, a lot of company names, a ton of things. So yeah. And let me go down and make sure that I've got all this. Don't want to miss anything. It's all important tonight. All important. Okay. And here's the next one. It says he's left a link to a Twitter account, and we're going to read this first so that his post makes sense. This is by Courageous Chrissy, and it says hashtag Jeffrey Epstein arrest. 6 hours ago on PBS NewsHour, DA for the Southern District of New York, Mr. Berman, said that Jeffrey Epstein arrest. What I say is we were assisted by some excellent investigative journalists. So 6 hours ago on PBS News, the DA for the Southern District of New York, Mr. Berman, said that what I say is we were assisted with some excellent investigative journalists. And Q responds to that and says, you didn't think all this research tasking was for nothing, did you? Q. And what he means by that, I mean, I think we all know, but he'll often ask us a question like, connect the dots, or, who is this person? And he doesn't give us the answer, but it forces us to really dig and find out. And there's some anons that are just phenomenal and have found out some really, really jaw-dropping things just during this whole process. So, yeah. All right. And let's go on. And this is a picture. I don't know. It's posted by an anon. And it's hard to see there, but it's looks like two like apartment, balconies. And the one has a American flag and a Q with a light coming out of it. And so Q responds to that and just says, where we go one, we go all. Q. I don't think there's any hidden meaning there, or I think it's just, somebody, it's from Florida anyway, and somebody's showing their patriotism. And I have to break out the Acme Cat Be Gone, although he is being awfully cute, so maybe I won't. But at the first sign of chewing, Sammy gets the cat be gone. All right, let's go on. Now, he moves from reminding us about Epstein Island to reminding us about the Clinton Foundation. Okay, so this is the first one. And Q, this is, he posted this today, but this is a former post. It says Inspector General report. 3, Weiner texting 15-year-old sexually explicit photos of himself. Initial analysis of laptop, thousands emails, Hillary Clinton and Foundation, crime against children. Remember that? And that was the first anybody, really. I think we knew following Q, but I think that's the first time it was really kind of out there. Now, then Q posts his own post from February 22nd, 2019. And let me make this a little bit bigger. Oh, I think I've made it bigger below. No, I didn't. Oh, I didn't. Usually I do. Okay. Sorry. I hate doing that to him, the poor little guy. And he's probably knocked my camera off kilter. Nope, it's all right. Okay, let's go back and carry on here. I'm sorry, Sammy. I love you, I really do, but you just can't chew all my equipment. Okay, that's the wrong place. Okay, let's go on here. I'll make this a little bit bigger so we can see it here, or at least I can see it. And this says Coleman told us that he regularly took notes in a journal. Coleman's notes from October 4th contained the following entry. Anthony Weiner, 2, unrelated. 3, Wiener, texting, 15-year-old, sexually explicit. 926, federal, SW, iPhones, iPad, laptop, initial analysis of laptop, thousands emails, Hillary Clinton and Foundation, crime against children. We asked Coleman about these notes, and he told us that given their placement in the notebook, the notes would most likely represent information he was briefed on first thing in the morning by his subordinates in the Criminal Investigation Division. Coleman stated that he may have passed this information to other FBI executives after the morning briefing with the director, but he could not remember if that occurred here. So then we come down, still the same post. Hillary and Q responds, Hillary Clinton and Foundation, crime against children, Q. And he says, and then this is from today, he says, worth remembering. So he's wanting us to remember all these things. Worth remembering, Q. And up here, we've got the same thing. He's making reference to the same information here. And he says, many were disappointed with Horowitz's report when released. Just because the public isn't aware of something, D5. And of course, D5 is the most severe avalanche you can have. You know, something starts out as a little ball of snow, and it can roll and roll and roll and become huge and become a huge avalanche. And D5 is the most destructive. So that is what he's talking about there. He signs it Q. And yeah, I wasn't even aware that the Horowitz report had been released, really. I thought it was going to be released publicly, but I think that's what he's referring to here. He's saying just because it isn't public doesn't, just because the public isn't aware of something doesn't mean that nothing's happening. So we need to keep that in mind when we're, getting fed up. All right, and we're going to go on now to the next one. And this is, he gives us a link to an article, and he says, connect the dots, Q. So, and it says, Epstein is the key to, well, this is my note, not Q's. Epstein is the key to getting all this evidence admitted. Now, look at this. When he says connect the dots, he's talking about connecting the dots between Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein. Billionaire sex offender Epstein once claimed he co-founded, and this is the link. If we follow this link, it'll take us here to Fox News. I'm not going to read it all, but because I don't think it's necessary. But billionaire sex offender Epstein once claimed he co-founded the Clinton Foundation. Attorneys for billionaire Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted sex offender and pal of Bill Clinton, claimed in a 2007 letter to prosecutors that he helped start the former president's controversial charity. And Q is telling us, connect the dots. I think that probably answers for us, because I wondered when I heard that, and I had heard that before, and I'd brought it up before in the Q-related news. I had wondered, is Epstein just, blowing hot air, or did he really help co-found it? And he did. All right, let's go up to the very next one, and trying to remember if this is, hang on here. Okay, so here's the next one. And again, it has the same picture that we've looked at previously, and says Epstein's plane, who is she? Follow friends, friends lead to others, open source Q. And he says, does this single picture of Bill Clinton on Epstein's plane with Rachel Chandler refute his entire statement? And of course, he has come out with a statement saying that, oh, I wasn't aware of any of his illegal activities. Oh, really? Yeah, it does refute his statement. Fake news, disinformation campaign failing miserably. You are the news now. Together, you are strong. Q. So, what is his the statement that he made? Well, let's go take a look at it. And here it is. Bill Clinton issues statement on Jeffrey Epstein. Former President Bill Clinton claimed in a statement Monday that he knows nothing about the pedophilia charges filed against financier Jeffrey Epstein. Do you believe that? No, me neither. A spokesman for the former president, who flew on Mr. Epstein's Boeing 727 more than 20 times, said in a statement first reported by Fox News that he knows nothing about the terrible crimes linked to Mr. Epstein. The statement downplayed the extent of Mr. Clinton's ties to the accused pedophile and said the trips had been tied to work with the Clinton Foundation. I have no doubt about that, because the Clinton Foundation is, neck deep in trafficking and all the rest. Staff supporters of the foundation and his Secret Service detail traveled on every leg of every trip. He had one meeting with Epstein in his Harlem office in 2002, and around the same time made one brief visit to Epstein's New York apartment with a staff member and his security detail. He's not spoken to Epstein in well over a decade, and he has never been to Little St. James Island, Epstein's ranch in New Mexico, or his residence in Florida, it said. Well, all the evidence would refute that, all of it, including the fact that we have a picture of him at the island. Yeah, Mr. Clinton, but then, Clinton has a very, very long history of lying. I mean, pretty much if his mouth is open, he's lying. Mr. Clinton, according to a 2016 Fox report citing court documents, flew on the tricked-out Lolita Express plane 26 times. According to that Fox report, trips from 2001 to 2003 included extended junkets around the world with Epstein and fellow passengers identified on manifests by their initials or first names, included Tatiana. So, let me see. Is there any more? No, there's not. Okay, so that is the statement of Bill Clinton. And if you believe that, I've got some swampland to sell you. And that swampland's right underneath Bill's feet. Okay, let's go back. We've got plenty more to cover. Plenty more. All right. And let's look at this. Here is, Q is posting the infamous picture that an Anon posted of the this graphic, and it's always been called Pain or the Punisher. And underneath it, it says, what happens when Loretta Lynch can no longer provide legal cover for the Clintons? And of course she can't, because she's tarmac meetings end. Q. And of course we know about the infamous tarmac meeting where they were trying to cut a deal. They weren't talking about their grandchildren or golf. They were trying to cut a deal. And of course, Loretta Lynch can't do that any longer for Bill Clinton. So, gee, I don't know what's going to happen for him or Hillary, either one of them. Time will tell. And here is another, and here, hang on here. Here, he's referring to this, and he's saying pain. Okay, so he's referring to this this graphic, and he's saying pain. And then up here, he has also posted a picture that has been supplied by an Anon, and it says, where we go one, we go all, and a picture of Q on a wall, it looks like, of some sort. It could be the edge of a building. I don't know. But there you go. Now, let's go up to here. We're going to get into something very interesting here, and something that I didn't know before. Q says, Les Wexner, founder of Victoria's Secret. Connect the dots. Q. Well, I did a little bit of digging, and boy, you just kind of touch that and like a whole rabbit hole opens up. A huge rabbit hole, actually a great big tunnel of a rabbit hole. And so I researched it enough to get enough information to make the connections, but there's a lot more there, and I'm going to have to do a lot more digging because there's a ton there. I mean, this guy, okay, if we thought Epstein was big, this guy's huge, massive. All right, Les Wexner. All right, he is the founder of Victoria's Secret. He's the owner of The Limited, or it used to be called The Limited, Abercrombie and Fitch, and others. Les Wexner, the CEO of L Brands, owns Victoria's Secret, purchased the townhouse at 9 East 71st Street in 1989. Now, you will recognize that as the house that was just raided, that Jeffrey Epstein lives in, and a bunch of evidence was taken out of there. Now it says in 2001, it was transferred to Jeffrey Epstein's Virgin Islands based Maple Inc. for $0. So they must be good pals, right? Got to be a connection there. You don't generally just sign over a house for $0, especially the largest private house in Manhattan with heated sidewalks. According to this article, now this by Chelsea Hill, and this was from Twitter. According to this article, Epstein's most well-known hedge fund client is Les Wexner. Ohio State could potentially have a lot of buildings to rename because there's a lot of buildings with the name of Lex Wexner, including a wing of a hospital. Breaking: Jeffrey Epstein has been arrested for alleged sex trafficking dozens of minors in New York and Florida between 2002 and 2005 and will appear in court in New York on Monday. And he did. And then down here, and this by Robert Lucci from Twitter. Then there's Lex Wexner's involvement in bringing 2 CIA-connected airlines with routes out of Hong Kong to Columbus, Ohio, which is where he's from, as shippers handling the majority of the Limited's shipping in concert with mob-connected ground shippers. Isn't that interesting that he brought 2 CIA-connected airlines with routes out of Hong Kong to Columbus, Ohio, as shippers handling the majority of the Limited's shipping in concert with mob-connected ground shippers. Oh, it just gets curiouser and curiouser. Sorry, I was going to start coughing, and that's annoying for everybody involved. And then there's this. Maybe I am going to start coughing. See, I brought the heavy artillery tonight, knowing that I might cough. Sorry, excuse me for a moment. All right, I'm back. Jeffrey Epstein doesn't have any money. This by the Lady of Situations on Twitter. Jeffrey Epstein doesn't have any money. That private island he lives on is paid by Lex Wexner. So Lex Wexner bought Little St. James Island for Epstein. Why? I've told like a dozen newspapers this over the last years. Maybe someone will hear me now. And this isn't from Q. This is just stuff that I looked at when I was researching this because I wanted to have something to bring to you about Les Wexner because I didn't know who the heck he was. And I would never have known that he was the owner of Victoria's Secret or the Limited or, you know, any of those companies that he owns. But let me tell you, there's a lot. There's a lot with him. He's involved in a ton. So I'm going to keep digging on him because I think we're going to have some very interesting connections there. All right. Here's the next one. And Q drops this in. And I don't know who this person is, but it's from somebody's Twitter account. It looks like it. And and he puts it in there, and it says Kit Laybourne worked for MTV, Nickelodeon, Children's Television Workshop, and Nick Jr. Geraldine Laybourne created Nickelodeon. In '96, became the president of Disney. Both are on the board of KinderCare, and both are on the Epstein flight logs. KinderCare, children, flight logs, Epstein Island. Connect the dots. It says, how deep is the rabbit hole? Hashtag Mad Hatter. Q. Now, who is the Mad Hatter? Well, Alice is Hillary Clinton. We know that from past drops. If you're new here, we know that from past drops. The Mad Hatter is Marty Tory. Now, I have a lot. I did look him up, and he's very creepy looking, But hopefully by tomorrow, I'm going to have some information on this guy and how he ties into this. It was getting so late that I knew that if I didn't bring this now, I wasn't going to get to it tonight. And I know that you're waiting for this stuff, especially Q drops. So I'm going to bring that to you probably tomorrow. If there's more Q posts, of course, I'm going to bring those to you. If not, I'm going to bring you Q related news and some of this stuff that I've found additionally. All right. And we move up to the next one, and we have this we've seen before. And this was July 29, well, it just says July 2019 JPEG. We've seen this before, but I think Q is saying that now's the time. This is Guardians of the Pedophiles, now playing, Panic in DC, and FISA-gate. Appropriate, right? Absolutely it is. Now we're getting up to something very interesting. All right, it says the link to this. This is what this link leads to. And let's go ahead and read this first. It says, we know you wish to connect Trump to Jeffrey Epstein, but you will discover that Trump is not in the flight log to Epstein's Little St. James Lolita Island, not even once. And he isn't. I've looked. Trump hitched a ride from Daytona Beach to New York City with Epstein's son once. Upon learning that Epstein had assaulted the 14-year-old daughter of an employee, Trump kicked Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago golf club and banned him for life. At Epstein's first arrest, Trump voluntarily went to the police to give a statement. The police commented that Trump could not have been more forthcoming. Does that sound like a guilty man to you? Me neither. So let's go on and read the rest of this Q post. It says the job of the media, 90% owned by 6 corporations, is not to inform the public of truth using facts, but to con the public using falsehoods and opinion to paint a narrative that is designed to keep the sheep in line in order to maintain control and regain power. People awake and united ends their control. Oh, people awake and united ends their control. Commas work wonders, but all right, I'm not going to fault Q. So people awake and united ends their control. Brainwashing. Q. I don't think we need any of that explained to us. We've all witnessed that firsthand. Now, this is going to be interesting as well. Q's answering a lot of questions for us tonight. July 8th, and Q has responded to this Anon, who said, you guys dropping real vids along with indictments helps a lot with overcoming that. And I'm not sure what he's responding to, actually. 6-1. Oh, this. Okay. So, yeah. Q's saying the job of the media is not to inform the public of truth using facts, but to con the public using falsehoods. And then this anon is saying, well, you guys dropping real videos along with indictments helps a lot to overcome that, because you can't really argue when you see something with your own eyes. And Q says Sessions began the Epstein investigation. Did any of us know that? Sorry. When that is revealed, those who doubted may see the light. And I think what he's saying is, you know how we doubted Sessions, and a lot of people were mad, and they said, what's all this trust Sessions, trust Sessions? Now we know. Sessions began the Epstein investigation. When that is revealed, those who doubt may see the light. The wheels of justice turn slow, but when they turn, they are powerful. 10 times speed now underway. We are back online. Pelosi attempted block. Q. Now, this is quite jaw-dropping, because number one, he's telling us that Sessions is a good guy, okay? And, you know, what it seemed like wasn't the truth. Number two, the wheels are turning now 10 times faster, and that's happening now. And three, he's saying Pelosi attempted to block us being online. Now, how she did that, I don't know. But it's pretty gobsmacking, if you ask me. So let's go up here, because there's more about Jeff Sessions. And I'll go all the way up here. And it says, okay, Q is making reference to this post by an anon, and it says, sometimes you need to take one for the team publicly before you are vindicated as a hero. Now, that should tell us everything we need to know about Jeff Sessions and that whole scenario, because I know I questioned it too. I thought, wait a minute, I thought Sessions was a good guy, because he kept saying trust Sessions. And he's saying, well, sometimes you have to take one for the team publicly before you're vindicated. And it says, back in 2011, the indomitable Peter Schweitzer published Throw Them All Out, a detailed examination of political corruption as it is actually practiced in the halls of Congress. In his investigation, Schweitzer found one single member of Congress against whom no allegations could be held, who had never taken a dime that was not his, had never cut any backroom deals, had never, simply put, played the game. That individual was Jeff Sessions. The fact is all you need to know to understand why Donald Trump selected Sessions for the Department of Justice, and why Sessions has followed the course he has in taking on the Russia collusion coup effort. Sessions is the quintessential Eagle Scout. He will follow the rules down to the last subclause and will not make his move until every T has been crossed and every I dotted. We saw the first results of this approach last Friday in dealing with Andrew McCabe, this century's prime example of a cookie full of arsenic. Yeah, that's for sure. Anyway, I'm not going to read all of this, because that the parts in red is what Q was alluding to, that Sessions is a hero. He's a patriot. He's a hero. He is not corrupt. He's never taken a dime that wasn't his. So, all good news. And look at this. Flynn news coming. Q. I assume that will be good news. And then the next one, surveillance of SC/JS terminated. Sleep well, Q. Now, this is interesting. I had a hard time figuring this out. I don't know if it's because it's late or what, but what this means is surveillance of reporters Sarah Carter and John Solomon terminated. So they were under surveillance, they're no longer. And he's saying sleep well. And he's probably directing that to them. That, okay, they can sleep well. Sleep well, Q. So Surveillance of reporters Sarah Carter and John Solomon have been terminated. That's good news. Now, I'm a little bit confused about this post. Well, I'm not, but I am. Okay, Q is posting this by an anon. It says, Hannity just dropped the pen again using a very artificial tone. Follow the pen. Hannity was talking directly to us. And Q said, haven't you figured it out by now? Q. Sorry, I had to crunch that to just get rid of it. All right. And my cat's ripping up tissue paper over there. Can't chew cord, so he's got to rip tissue paper. It's a hard life that cat leads. Hard life. All right. Now, here we are. And now he's in the bag that I got from a store and digging around. Yep. All right, here we go. July 8th, and that's by an anon. How the heck were they allowed to do this? Do it this long? Holy smokes. FBI, CIA. And this does not make sense to me, and it could be I'm not connecting it properly or whatever, but it says disguised under leaker target program. Now, we do know that they had a program to target leakers. So, I don't know. Disguised under the leaker target program, Q. All right. Now, here's some other very, very interesting things. Now, this is a long post. And it starts way the heck up here. Now, Q is bringing to our attention some past posts about HRC. Now, this is from July 8th, actually, and this is Q's post, Flynn news coming, Q. And somebody wrote, holy shite, the first placeholder. And then, you're not going to fit in that bag. I can tell you right now, you're not. Okay, and then July 8th, you guys dropping real vids along with indictments helps a lot. And then it says, wow, they leave our patriots, Sarah and John Solomon, alone. Fox, former FBI official, indictment of Jeffrey Epstein is placeholder. Expect dozens more charges in the near future. Now remember how Q has been talking about placeholders. Remember he'd say placeholder and placeholder and placeholder. So this is the first placeholder. And over here, we have this. We have a little tiny video of remember when she was they were interviewing her, and she was just talking to people, and there was somebody that had their cell phone there, probably, recording her or whatever, and she was jerking and everything, and then she said, oh, you should try the chai latte, it's great, and was kind of, joking it off. Well, that's a little gif of that. Then over here, it says, and this is from March 6th, it says, is the stage set for a drop of Hillary Rodham Clinton? Raw vid. We know what they were talking about there. We have it all. Reread, stage. The nail in many coffins, liberal undo, impossible to defend, toxic to those connected. We must work together. We are only as strong as your voice. You must organize and be heard. This is why they keep you divided and in the dark, weak. We are here to unite and provide truth, dark to light. Evil surrounds us. We are fighting for you. Where we go one, we go all. The choice to know will be yours. And over here, we have this. Okay, I think I've got this down here where I think I made it bigger down here. So let's look at this. Okay, this is the one I just read here. And I just pulled these out of that group that Q provided and made it a little bit bigger. And then after this one is this. Now, get ready to pick your jaw up off the floor, okay? I'm just saying, really. because I must have stared at this, I don't know how long, just kind of processing it. This by George M. Nassif. He's eating the bag. Round 2. Look for these arrests coming, including the NXIVM cases related to Epstein cases. Stormy Daniels, her attorney. Now, okay, you may be thinking, yeah, but this is somebody else. This isn't Q. Okay, would Q link to it if it wasn't right? Q might link to it and correct something, but he didn't. He linked to it. So just keep that in your mind. Stormy Daniels, her attorney, Weiner, Huma, Hillary, evidence from insurance files on Weiner's laptop, 3 videos. Watch the dominoes fall. Recruiting teen girls for NXIVM. So this is pretty wild. Stormy Daniels is involved. Her attorney, Michael Avenatti, Weiner, Huma, Hillary, and there's evidence from the insurance files on Weiner's laptop, which we've all known. There are 3 videos. Watch the dominoes fall. Recruiting teen girls for NXIVM, soon to be entered into evidence. Can't legally show them here. Well, of course not. So here, there's 3 videos. Video 1, underage teen boy giving blood transfusion directly to HRC, white coat, doctor present, operating room setting procedure. So there's an underage teen boy and they're giving a blood transfusion direct from him to Hillary Clinton because they believe, and there is scientific evidence to prove, that young blood into an older person's body helps maintain youth. And they're in a operating room setting and there is a white coat doctor present. That's the first video. Video number 2 is Huma and Hilldog having sex with underage girl in a bedroom setting. That's video number 2. Now, this it really is hard to stomach for me. Really hard to stomach. Video 3. Huma and Hilldog and surgeon cutting off female's child's face and nose with scalpel. She's approximately 8 years old. They're taking said face and placing it on their own and dancing around the room as if celebrating. Now, Q linked to this. So this is real. And I know we've all been hearing that this existed, but actually I didn't quite believe it. Maybe I didn't want to believe it because it's very, very hard. It's to imagine somebody that spiritually bankrupt, morally bankrupt, to do that to a child. I can't imagine it. I don't want to. Now, Q, beneath all that, says, wow, they best leave. Now, oh, okay. This is from the bottom of this, so I'm not sure who is this. Hang on. I got to see who posted this part. This is all part of what this Anon posted, this whole collection of things. So then below it, he or she says, wow, they best leave our patriots, Sarah and John Solomon, alone. Fox, former FBI officials, indictment of Jeffrey Epstein is placeholder. Expect dozen more charges in the near future. Now, this is from Q from today. Placeholder population. So those placeholders are going to start to be populated in August 2019. Next month. Q. And let's go up here. And this is the last of the posts for today. Well, for yesterday. We are with you. And look who signed it. President Trump. That is who Q Plus is. President Trump. We are with you. Q Plus. Isn't that awesome? So all that time of not hearing from Q, and then we do hear from him, and we only get a couple drops, and it's like, ugh, we're all left, wanting more. Well, this reminds me of the old days of Q, when we would just get like a deluge of information to deal with, and all of a sudden, there's like a zillion things to research just in one drop. And that's what we have here. Like, really, we could be researching a very long time just on the information that he's dropped here. So this is fascinating, and I am glad that I stayed up tonight and pushed through and got this researched and out tonight, because I know that you guys are going to be looking for it, and I want you to have it. So I will be on this tomorrow. I will continue looking into all this, and I'll bring you whatever I have. If Q doesn't post, I'll bring you the Q related news and some more information about this stuff. And if Q posts, I'll bring that to you, and may possibly do 2 videos. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate it. I appreciate your patience, and you were probably looking earlier tonight for me to post, and really I had every intention of doing it, but I felt that this was more important to get this out. So, and also remember that I am demonetized, and my only source or funding for this and compensation for my time is if you guys buy me a coffee, or from my Patreon subscribers. So just remember, every now and then, if you think of it and you want to throw me a coffee or whatever, and I really do appreciate it, because this really is time consuming, and it just helps. So thank you guys so much. I will talk to you tomorrow, and I'm going to bed, gosh darn it. It's 1:21 in the morning. So anyway, you guys stay safe, stay well, and keep seeking truth, because deception bites.